Hey guys, today we're going to be starting something very new. Recently I've gotten lots and lots of feedback from you guys, which has been one, really encouraging and really awesome, so thank you so much for all of that. And two, it's given me lots of ideas on what to do going forward and how to kind of present more of this topic of music theory. So I think the best way to do this going forward is actually to kind of start on a different path. And what we're going to start doing is looking at how to write music, which will be, in a lot of ways, a lot different than what we've done before. Or all the kind of general topic theory videos that I've done have taken kind of a descriptive approach to music, right? Looking at what things are called and how these different systems work and how all these concepts are put together. But so far we haven't really looked at how to actually do things with that, how to actually make music. You can kind of think of it like the difference between learning about how an engine works versus actually getting in a garage and like tearing one down and rebuilding it. You have to know how it works to do that, but the real experience comes from actually getting your hands dirty. So that's what we're going to be doing going forward. So what I wanted to do today, just for this kind of little intro video, is actually just to kind of do a little review of everything, all the general topics you're going to need to know before getting into this kind of music writing stuff. So all I'm going to do is just kind of tick off the different little things you need to know going forward. You can kind of double check yourself, make sure you're comfortable with all these different things. And if you haven't been watching these videos before, you're just kind of coming in, this is a good way to kind of just see if there's any holes in what you know and if anything you need to kind of review. So we'll just go ahead and do that real quick. So, and I actually have a new whiteboard now, which is wonderful. I can actually write things down. So you guys will have to let me know how you like the new camera setup. It took a lot of goofing around with to get this working, but hopefully you like it because it was a lot of work to do. Okay, so we'll go through these. So first thing you need to know. You need to know the 4 basic chords. I'll even write all these out. And by that I mean you need to know major chords, minor chords, diminished and augmented. Understand how they're put together and how to find them. So a good way to test yourself to see if you really can do this in a practical sense is at the keyboard, just pick a random note to start on, like that one, and pick a random chord quality, say diminished chord, and make sure that you can find that chord and play it within a reasonable amount of time. Like think within a few seconds. If it's taking you minutes and you're having to kind of check your notes, then it's going to be painful when I start doing a lot of chords that you're going to have to stop and rewind and think through it. So make sure you're very comfortable with those basic chords. There are actually a couple other types of chords that we haven't really touched on yet. Suspended chords specifically. They're not nearly as important to kind of the core concepts here as these 4, so don't worry about those right now. You don't need to know that at this point, but we will get to that at some point. Anyway, there's your basic chords. You're also going to need to know 4 different kinds of 7th chords. You're going to need to know the major 7th, minor 7th, dominant 7th. Be very careful with that one. Make sure you understand the difference between that chord and the major 7th. That's a kind of a rough spot for a lot of people. And also the minor 7 flat 5, or you've probably heard me call it a half diminished chord. Those 4 we'll be using a lot of. There's a couple others, augmented 7ths and fully diminished 7th, that kind of thing. Those are kind of special cases. They're pretty unique. So if we run into those, we'll be kind of talking through them slowly anyway. So don't worry too much if you're not really clear on those at this point. So that's it for the 7th chords. You can kind of test yourself the same way. Just make sure, pick a random note to start on and kind of, pick a random chord quality. Make sure you can play it quickly, fairly quickly. Maybe not as quick as the basic chords, but still reasonable amount of time. And then also, one more thing on chords, you're going to need to know inversions. And if you kind of skimmed over that topic before, now is the time. When it comes to actually writing music, we're going to be doing a lot of that. We're not going to be looking at chords very often at all, and their kind of root form, that sort of root position. We're going to be inverting them a lot and mixing the notes around, actually making it do things musically. So if you're not clear on inversions, kind of double check yourself there. Spend a little while practicing. Like, for example, if I play this and you're thinking this is a B chord, you're going to need to spend some more time on inversions. This is a G chord in first inversion, so be very comfortable with that idea. So make sure you're okay with inversions. Okay, so beyond the chords, you're going to need to know keys, major keys and minor keys, and you can kind of test yourself the same way here. Pick a random note and make sure that you can actually think through all the notes in the key, starting there. So say if you started on, include the sharps and flats here. Say you started on F sharp, be able to figure out all the notes within that key, again, in a reasonable amount of time. This is harder than just a chord that only has 3 notes in it, so it may not be fast, but at least be able to do it without having to stop and kind of look at how this works. Be able to have it in your head and be able to do it. Same for minors. Pick a note to start on, be able to think through the notes in a minor key. So we'll say keys. And then lastly, understand how chords fit within a key. And we've talked about this a little bit. Understand the whole concept of, if you're in a major key, like the key of G major, understand what chords you can play that sort of fit inside that key and which ones it won't. So if we're in G major, your one chord is a G major chord. Your 2 chord is a minor chord. If you're not understanding why this should be a minor chord versus a major chord or whatever else, maybe go over that stuff. So we'll say chords in a key. And to go along with that, the Roman numeral system, which actually just did a video on, so if you missed that, it's really, really basic. It's just a way of kind of writing down those chords, identifying chord 1, chord 2, and a way to write it out. Real simple though. So we'll say that too. Roman numerals. And that's it. That's what you'll need to know going forward. We're going to do a lot of using these things and actually kind of putting them together. We'll look at how to go from one chord to the next, how to take a melody and kind of weave it in there, how to create different moods and effects with music and that sort of thing. So be honest with yourself, make sure you understand these things well, because it's going to be difficult if you don't. I'm not going to spend a lot of time re-explaining any of this stuff. But that's it, and hopefully you're ready to go. So I'll stop the video here. You can kind of go review whatever you need to, and then next video we'll actually start getting our hands dirty and making music, hopefully. So thanks, and I'll see you soon.